Welcome to Pet Pals. I'm Dee Dee, and this is the back of Randy and our first guest, Shira. We are here at Frederick County Animal Control with adoptable pets for you to meet by video, and we are going to bring several of them to you this morning. Shira is on the show because she's been with us for about a month. She's interested in a rabbit. That's off camera. Shira is being a good girl. Shira is 7 years old, and she's part Boston Terrier, maybe part Hound or other kind of terrier, we're not sure. Her owners brought her to us because they were working long hours and commuting every day and keeping her in a crate while they weren't home. So Shira was crated like 10 hours or more every day, and they felt like that wasn't fair to her, and they wanted us to try to find her a new family that's home a little bit more than that, if not all day. That would be great, but not every dog can have that. Not every person gets to do that. So Shira is looking for a new home. Sweetheart, don't pull on your leash like that. So she is one of the many dogs we have here at Frederick County looking for a new home. And a couple things about Shira when you come in to meet her. First of all, people are often worried about adopting a dog that's 8 years old. There's really no reason to worry because we have veterinarians check her out here. We don't x-ray her or do blood work unless she's sick, but she seems to be a perfectly healthy dog, and so nothing to worry about there. Secondarily, sometimes people are worried that she wouldn't have very much long to give. Dogs about her size can live 13, 14 years, so she does have plenty of time left. And as well, when Shira is in the cage, she does not like all of the barking that goes on in the kennel when people walk past her cage. So we really recommend, if you want to consider her, take her out in the yard, get to know her. She's lived with cats. I've watched her meet and greet other dogs. She does very well. She has lots of good dog experience, and she really does need a break. We're putting her on the show again because she hasn't been chosen in 3 weeks, which is not unusual. Sometimes we have dogs here 3 weeks or a month, but then that makes us wonder if maybe we could be doing more to get her face out there, lovely as it is, and to talk to people about what we think might be the reasons she wasn't chosen. So she's a perfect size dog. She's got a nice short coat that's easy to take care of grooming wise. She is sits when you ask her to, is crate trained, is used to cats, and she lets us cut her nails and check out her ears and groom her. So she really does have a lot going for her, and she should be easy to introduce into your home. If you think Shira would make a good dog for you or someone you know, then please come by the shelter and meet her, or get her picture from Pet Finder and send it around, or send this link for this episode of Pet Pals. You're being a good girl. We are back with our second guest. This is Ace. And Ace is part Pit Bull Terrier. You can tell by looking at him. He's only 11 months old, so he's probably mixed with something small. We were told Boston Terrier, which certainly fits because Boston Terriers are very pit-like. They're just tinier. They come in brindle. They usually have more white, so he's not going to get much bigger than this. He'll probably get a little stronger looking, but not much taller. And for an 11-month-old puppy, he's got lots of energy, but a great attitude. He can pay attention. He likes people. And though he pulls a little bit on the leash, it's more from lack of knowledge than lack of attention. So I think he's going to be a really great little dog. What we have to tell people who are adopting pit or pit mixes, or any dog that can be misconstrued to be a pit, is that because of a recent Maryland Court of Appeals decision, you may have to clear up with your landlord specifics about whether you can have any type of dog that is part pit or could be part pit. And one of the confusions that arose from this ruling is that there is no breed of dog called a pit bull. However, there are about 30 breeds of dogs that fall into the classification of bull and terrier breeds, one of which is the American Bull Terrier. There is the American Staffordshire Terrier, which most people are familiar with because it's AKC registerable. And all this gobbledygook means is that if a dog is purebred and attributed to one of the Bull and Terrier breeds, there are now restrictions on the dogs in landlord-tenant agreements. However, with a mixed breed dog, you can't tell by looking at them what they are. They've done some research where they take a dog like this and do DNA testing and find out that he's a Beagle miniature pinscher. So we don't know by looking at a dog what his genetic makeup is, but if they look like part pit bull, then we just need to let you know that you have to consider talking to your landlord or homeowners association and make sure you're not going to be affected by this new ruling. We also expect that the ruling is going to be overturned because it's a little arbitrary and vague, but until then, you have to be careful. Make sure your homeowner's insurance is okay with it. And this little guy, unfortunately, is going to be temporarily affected by that ruling in finding just the right home. But he is delightful and very young and very biddable, so I think he's going to make somebody a great dog. If you think that Ace would make a good match for you or someone that you know, then get in touch with us or pass his picture around. We are back with Tango, and Tango is a foxhound that was found on some farm property, and the owners of the property tried to find his owners and weren't able to, and thought maybe he was a hunting dog that had gotten lost. However, when he arrived here, he sits on command, he walks on a leash, so he was someone's pet. And we were unable to find his owners, or perhaps they don't want him back, but he seems like a delightful dog that would make someone a really wonderful pet, so he is available for adoption now at the animal shelter. And when he came into this room, what you can't see off camera is we have some birds in cages and some rabbits in cages, and he's really shy. So he came around the corner on the shiny table and he sat for Randy and is taking treats, but he's kind of has some trepidation about what's going on in here with the camera and all the people walking around and office doors he can't see behind. So he's handling it all very well, and that bodes well for his future ability to learn and concentrate in difficult situations. But we would very much like to find someone who has experience with hound dogs if possible. And if not, so he's wagging his tail, and if not, certainly he would be able to fit in any place where somebody is ready for a dog, and we would help you with that. We would talk to you about training him to heel and teaching him to stay in a crate when you're not home, and introducing him to that so that he would be happy. Obviously, he's been in a dog cage here and he's doing fine, but we like dogs in their new home to have the advantage that we can give them by giving you all kinds of tips on dog ownership and integrating a new dog into your house. Now you know. So if you think that Tango would make a good match for you or someone that you know, then please get the word out. Come and meet him. He's got a lot to offer, and you know, I didn't tell you he's 2 or 3 years old. We're making a guess based on his gorgeous body condition and great teeth, and obviously your vet can tell you more, but a 2 to 3 year old dog can learn really quickly all the things that you need him to know. You don't have to go through that puppy stage. So if you think he would make a good match for you, then let us know. We are back with our next guest, and this little parakeet's name is Pager, but we made that up. This little girl parakeet flew into someone's home. Obviously, she got loose on her own and recognized a house as a safe place to be. So she flew into a gentleman's home, and he was able to scoop her into a box and put some screen across it and bring her in hopes that someone is looking for her. She does have a leg band, and sometimes people ask us if that helps us to find the owner, and it usually does not, because the leg band she has signifies that she was born in captivity. That's a good thing. And it tells where in the country she was born and sometimes to what pet store she was shipped. But it doesn't tell us who owns her. So we're not going to be able to find her owner from that, but we are hoping she's in good condition. We're hoping that she hasn't been gone for long and that someone is looking for her, and we will be able to find her family. If we're not able to, then on June 29th, she becomes available for adoption, and we work with a really great bird rescue, Phoenix Landing, and they will be helping us find a home for her as well, and they may even take possession of her after her time waiting for her owner to show up is complete. But in the meantime, we would like to get the word out that Frederick County Animal Control receives 5,500 animals a year, sometimes up to 6,000, and most of them are cats and dogs. However, there is a percentage of animals we get every year: guinea pigs, birds, goats, rabbits, animals that you've seen on the show, and sometimes animals that you haven't seen on the show, like an emu, or some of the snakes that we've had. So if there is a pet that you're interested in, then you should definitely consider letting us know in advance the kind of pet that you would like, so that we can keep you on a wish list and let you know when we receive a more exotic animal or unusual animal. We like to limit the time they have to spend in the shelter as much as we can, because the faster they get out, the more animals that we can save. And while Frederick County citizens would love it if we could become a no-kill shelter, one of the biggest factors in that is how many animals we have to take in. What no-kill shelters do is they limit the number of animals they accept to those that are adoptable and healthy and stable, so that they can commit to keep those animals no matter what. At Frederick County Animal Shelter, because we're the only shelter, we do take in animals that are sickly, animals that might be dangerous, and some of those animals we can't offer for adoption. But there are animals in between, such as this little parakeet. She seems healthy, she's not dangerous, and by turning her over to a local rescue, we're able to free up space and caretaker time so that we can save more animals that aren't as easy to place as she will be. So if you are interested in a bird of any kind, let us know. But in particular, if you are interested in Pager, or if you know someone who has lost their green budgie, then please get in touch with us. We would love to find her family. But if not, we would love to find her a new home that will care for her for the remainder of her life, which can be 15 to 20 years. We are back with our next guest, another bird. This bird was also lost. She was found walking across the Weiss parking lot, and a very nice lady picked her up and brought her to us in hopes that we're going to find her owner. And interestingly, I don't know if she'll let you see, but she is missing her tail feathers. And that means that she narrowly escaped some kind of accident. It could potentially have been a predator grabbing her by the tail and she was able to fly off, or she could have gotten caught in a door, something like that. We'll never know because she is not talking. And so just like our previous guest, we are now looking for this little bird's family to see if anyone is missing her. And she has lost a little bit of weight, so I suspect that she has been missing a little longer than the budgie. So if you know of someone who lost a parakeet, even like a month ago, please consider having them come in and see if this is their cockatiel, because she is doing very well. Her feathers are in great shape, and she obviously was able to fly. But she's a little thin, so I suspect that she'll need to put on some weight, and that she could have been lost a little bit longer than people might be not looking for her anymore. So if you have thought about getting a cockatiel, they make great pets. They have the big bird characteristics of being able to talk, as do budgies, like you just saw. But they have the small bird characteristics of not being able to put you in the hospital if they bite you. So one of the things about large macaws and cockatoos is they are lovely and demanding and amazing animals to get to know. But they can be more than the average pet owner is up to, because if they try to bite you or are unhappy in any way, they need basically an addition on the house and trained animal wranglers to handle. These little birds are much easier to tame, to step up on your hand. They can enjoy time outside of the cage as long as you safely prepare the room. For example, pots of water on a stove or ceiling fans. Very dangerous to birds in your house. Some people think, wouldn't it be great to have a bird who doesn't even have to live in a cage and could live free in my house all the time? And you can make your house safe for that. But one thing to consider is if you don't have a cage to safely confine them, then there's really no way to keep them from flying over to a wall and sliding behind some large piece of furniture, and they can't get out of that. Also, one of the problems with having a bird that's freely flighted in the room without any option to contain them at night is that if you have other pets, they can get badly hurt by other pets. And in addition, if they're never used to being confined and they have to go to the vet, or you later decide that it's become a burden to care for them as a free-flighted bird and you decide to move them into a cage, they can be really heartbroken over that. So it is good for birds to have a cage, even if they don't stay in it all the time, and for them to accept confinement at times, just like crating in dogs. This particular cage that this bird is in is much too small for her to live in for her entire life. She can spread out her wings and completely turn around and move up and down, which makes it okay for her temporarily. But she really does need a horizontal space so that she can fly. Probably a cage of about 3 feet long would help her out so that she could be able to fly from one side to the other, keep her chest muscles strong, and remain a healthy bird. She is a curious little girl, and she's been doing great while she's been here, eating well and adjusting to all the strangers that are trying to figure out where she came from. So if you know anyone who's been looking for their bird, please send them our way. And if you have been considering adopting a bird, let us put you in touch with Phoenix Landing, or you could come in and meet her and talk to us about what it takes to care for a bird like this. We are going to take a short break, and then we're going to be back with some cats for you to meet and potentially adopt in just a minute. I hope you come back.
Hello, my name is Doug Orner, and I serve as Director of Volunteer Fire and Rescue Service for Frederick County. I've been a volunteer with the Vigilant Hose Company in Emmitsburg, Maryland since 1972. Why do I think it would be a good opportunity for you to become a volunteer? It's a great way to meet new people, learn new skills, and also you can receive college credits for some of the training that you receive. And there's always that reward of hearing a special thank you or a smile on somebody's face whenever you've saved a life or helped them in some way, shape, or form. For more information on becoming a volunteer, visit our website, stop by one of our 26 stations throughout Frederick County, or give me a call at the office. I'll be glad to assist you in becoming a volunteer. Look forward to seeing you at one of the stations in the near future.
Before, addiction and depression kept me from living my life. And now, every step I take in recovery benefits everyone. There are many options that make the road to recovery more accessible. It begins with the first step. Join the Voices for Recovery. For information and treatment referral for you or someone you love, call 1-800-662-HELP. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
We are back with a next set of guests for you, adoptable pets at Frederick County Animal Control, and our first guest is Alexander. Alexander is a 1-year-old brown tabby male, and he was found here in Frederick, and the people who found him looked for his owner, were not able to find his owner, so they brought him into the shelter, and we spent some time trying to find his owner as well. And what happens many times with these cats that are only a year old is that they were born last year at the end of kitten season to a mother that's being fed by someone, and either they weren't captured while they were babies, or they ran off from where their mother was being fed to start their own life. So they often turn up at properties a little far away from where their mother raised them, and they have no owner. So when they come to the shelter, we give them their vaccinations, and we spay and neuter them and offer them for adoption. And clearly you can see this little kitty likes people, he's used to being around people, and he is going to make someone a lovely pet. We are calling him Alexander, but he certainly won't care if you change his name. His beautiful green eyes might inspire you to think of some creative name that has meaning for you. But he is going to make a really good pet for somebody. We color code our kitties here, and we've color-coded him orange, which is middle, which means he is both snuggly and independent and playful, so he'll pretty much meet the needs of anyone interested in getting a cat, and he's still young enough to give you that kittenhood without dragging it on for 6 or 8 months so that you really have to keep your house on lockdown for the rest of the year. So if you are interested in a kitten cat like Alexander, then please come to the shelter and let us know. We have so many. And we also do have very young kittens now in the shelter. So if you are looking for something a little younger, we can help you out with that too. We're back with our next guest. This is Zoe. Zoe is a 3-year-old domestic short-haired cat who's obviously white with beautiful yellow eyes. And she lived in a home for 3 years, and they gave her up because they had to move to a place where they could not take her. And that is probably the #1 reason that we hear from families giving up their pets. So when someone does bring us a pet and gives moving as the cause of the separation between them and their animal, we sit down with them and ask them a lot of questions about, does she use the litter box? Is she good with dogs? Has she been around children? And Zoe has a lot of that experience. She's good with her litter box. She's been around kids. She's met other animals. So what we try to find out is, was moving just the excuse on top of the reasons? Because if you have a great pet that is well-trained and affectionate, you're going to be unlikely to move away and leave your pet behind, much like you wouldn't leave any family member behind. But in many of these cases, people are moving in with family. They are moving because they've lost their home. They're moving into assisted living where pets aren't allowed. So there are some situations where moving actually is the main cause of the separation between the pet and its family. So Zoe is interested in finding a new family. She's very affectionate.
Kennel tech, call the front to return owner, please. The kennel tech, call the front.
And pretty easy to handle. So she's going to be able to be a great lap cat in any new situation she can find herself in, and quite a lovely cat as well. So if you think that Zoe would make a good match for you, or someone who still wants a cat for a long time because she's only 3, but doesn't want to have to go through the kitten stage, which we certainly understand, then please give us a call, come in, pass her picture around, see if we can find Zoe a home. We are back with Gracie, and Gracie is a gray domestic short hair. What we know about Gracie is multi-leveled. So Gracie lived with someone for 3 years who got her from a shelter in Arizona, and they told her that she was a Russian blue cat, which she certainly looks like. It's a beautiful purebred cat of this exact color. And Gracie is declawed, and Gracie traveled around the country with the woman who brought her to us. Prior to that, she was told that Gracie was 3 years old when she got her, so she's at least 6. And she is now looking for a new home because the woman who was traveling around with her is moving into a permanent situation. And she told us that although Gracie did travel with her for 3 years, that she gets really upset in the car. So I don't know if that was her experience, too much moving around, not a stable place to stay. But she hasn't had any problems here in the shelter, obviously. And she would obviously benefit from being in a permanent place. And most shelters will take back the animals that they adopt out. But because the shelter she came from is in Arizona, we don't have any way of getting her all the way back to Arizona that's fair to her and cost efficient. So the fact that Gracie's declawed might be attractive to someone who wants a declawed cat but doesn't want to be the one to have the declaw surgery performed. We've talked about that before. It's perfectly legal, but for some reason it's only legal to do it to a cat. It's not legal to remove the toes from a dog. It's not legal to remove the toes from a horse or pig, but it is legal and common practice to remove the toes from a cat. We just don't like it. So when we get a cat that is declawed and we have people who say that they would like to adopt a declawed cat, that can be a perfect match. So if you think that Gracie would make a good match for you, or someone that you know, Gracie, then please let us know, and we will try to make a perfect match. Our next adoptable cat is Madonna, and Madonna is a gray and white domestic short hair. She is between 3 and 4 years old. We don't know a lot about her past. Someone found her and she came to us that way. But we know that she's quite beautiful and affectionate. She really enjoys sitting with people. She's low energy. She's beautiful. She has a little beauty mark on her nose and just lovely markings. But she is a very calm cat. And sometimes people are looking for a particular situation for a cat, such as a companion for someone like me who doesn't do a lot of things after work, likes to just watch TV, be on the computer. She would make a great cat for someone like that because she also likes to hang out. We could call her a couch potato, call me a couch potato, same kind of life. And she would be a good companion for someone like that. She would also, incidentally, be a great companion for someone who's really busy outside the house because she doesn't mind being home alone. She can entertain herself. She doesn't need to be with you all the time. And as I said, she's quite a beautiful cat and is available for adoption. And if you have any interest in a cat like her, please come by the shelter and meet her and all of our other cats and see who might be a perfect match for you. And don't forget to share her picture from Pet Finder or share this episode of Pet Pals with people who might be looking. We are back with our last guest today, and this is Apple. Apple is a year-old black domestic shorthair that showed up in my horse barn. So we were building a barn, and one day it was raining, and we walked up there, and the barn was meowing. And I found Apple. So he is so friendly and affectionate at the barn. He likes horses, he likes dogs, he likes the other cats, and he would even jump up and lean his back on us when it was feeding time. So precious cat. We don't know where he came from, don't know how he found the barn, but his veterinarian said that feral cats apparently have Twitter accounts and they tell each other where the new barns are being built so they can move in. And so I brought him into the shelter in hopes that he'll find an indoor home because he's so affectionate with people. He has no idea what winter is like since our last winter was pretty mild and he was a kitten during that. I don't think that he would be the typical barn cat that can survive outside. So, very affectionate. He has a unique meow with 2 syllables. So, too bad he won't do it for you now. But if you are thinking of getting a cat, then I would strongly suggest you consider Apple because he is, of course, my favorite cat in the shelter at this time since I knew him outside of the shelter. And he just was such a delightful cat at the barn that I couldn't see him living wild for the rest of his life. He likes people way too much. So if you think that Apple would make a good cat for you or someone that you know, then please consider coming to the shelter to meet him. Once he is an indoor cat, his coat's going to assume the black color that he genetically has. He looks chocolate brown because he's been bleached by the sun from running through the apple orchard. So if you know of anyone who wants a delightful cat that gets along with everyone, including other animals, then consider coming by and meeting him or passing his picture around. Thanks for joining us on Pet Pals, and we will see you next time. Remember that Frederick County Animal Control is your only county shelter, and we are open on Saturdays and Wednesday and Thursday nights for your convenience in addition to the regular, oh, don't you be bad and get in trouble. So if you are interested in any pet, please consider coming to the shelter first, and we will see you next time.